Hi, this is Jill, one of the occupational therapists from Sensational Development. We are here to help you help your child or student reach their maximum potential. If you'd like some more information or to check us out, our logo is down in the bottom right corner, as well as some links, our Instagram, and we also have a blog, so please check that out. The information is down below. Today, I wanted to talk about some ways to stop a meltdown, ways to prevent them, and kind of our process from a therapeutic perspective on reducing them. This is a question I get a lot, and it's kind of tough to approach it when your child's there, but what do you do if they're in sensory overload and that's resulting in a shutdown? Child can be aggressive, they can be avoidant, they can be, seeking out small spaces that can be unsafe or inappropriate at the time, and it's a big deal, and you don't want your child or your student to feel like that. So I wanted to talk about some ways to address that, and let's get into it. Okay, so first things first, what do we do right now? So right now, you want to reduce input. You want to have low lighting. You want to have no extra sound present in the environment. You want them to have a safe space or a quiet space. We'll talk a little bit more about this moving forward, but you want them to be able to have access to a tent or fort, a little nook in their room where they feel comfortable and they have some safe items. And these can be items that they only use when they are going to sleep, when they're having a difficult time, and then they'll be used that way and always be used in times of need. And then you also want to give them a chance to cool down. So don't cue, don't yell, kind of just give them space as long as they're being safe, and just make sure that they are supervised, but not really directed. So after the experience, let's identify the trigger. So what was the cause of it? Was it an adverse sensory experience, like just overload, too much from all day? Maybe it was a long, loud school day and their school has very bright lights. Maybe they were just having their hair brushed. Maybe they tried a food that they really didn't like. Maybe they're overtired. Maybe it's the end of the night. Maybe it is a social emotional reason. Maybe something happened with one of their friends, or they're having a difficult time expressing themselves. Or if it's anything else, just take note of that and keep that in mind, and maybe discuss it with them later. And then what worked? So find what your child gravitated to in that moment of need. Maybe it was a soft blanket or their weighted blanket. Maybe it was a noise-making toy or a toy that had bright lights or calming lights. Maybe they picked a favorite toy. Maybe they really chose that safe space. What were some things that you provided that seemed to work? Maybe your child went to you and was looking for deep pressure in the form of hugs or squeezes. Maybe they wanted you to get their favorite blanket and put on their favorite movie. Maybe they wanted you in there with them during their safe space, and what can be improved upon next time? What can you add? Can you discuss with them what they found to work or what they feel like they needed at that time? And then let's talk about our goal. So our goal is overall to reduce overstimulation, because meltdowns happen when the child is overstimulated for some reason, and it could have a sensory reason, as we talked about, or social emotional, and our goal is to get to a calm state. So we want our child to reach an optimal state, a level of arousal where they are oriented, alert, engaged, focused, and ready to participate. Even if they are not having a meltdown at that time and they're not in this state, we don't consider the child regulated. So if the child's not regulated, they're not at their optimal state for learning, engaging, and participating in tasks. So prevention, there are a lot of steps to reducing a meltdown, but there's also a great timeline to discuss it. So first, you really want to give them daily sensory input. So finding out what that means, what they need. You can observe your child. Some things we provide instinctually, like some kids just automatically seek out cuddles or tickles or, tight hugs, or they have a favorite soft, fuzzy blanket. Next, we want to make sure that they are getting improved body awareness. So this is through the daily sensory input and sometimes with the work of a skilled professional providing certain sensory experiences and working with your child to build up their awareness. One of my favorite programs is the Alert program, and it talks about, teaches your child ways to self-identify energy levels, but of course it's a guided program at first. So first step would be understanding the terminology, identifying the arousal level on others. So if another child looks like they have high energy or their energy is too low or just right, then you want to have them practice that on themselves. Then you want them to identify and implement coping strategies. So that can be in the form of tools for your engine, is what the Alert program uses for terminology. And that talks about different types of input for the visual system, the auditory system, tactile system, oral motor input through the mouth, and then the nose. And then a lot of times children will have access to a laminated speedometer, as you see in the top right corner, which is actually from thealertprogram.com and has a lot of great free resources there. If you'd like to learn some more information, they have courses for parents as well as practitioners. So these are some great resources. Some things that I love are fidget spinners are great if your child can use them appropriately, or fidgets in general. Listening to calming music. So one of our favorite albums is called Sacred Earth Drums. And that can be really, really calming because it has deep beats, which is actually similar to providing deep pressure without actually having to touch the child to provide it. Ice pops are amazing. Cold input is always very, very regulating. It's kind of like a reset for the nervous system. Just be aware of dyes and extra sugars. So sometimes making them at home is great, or like we make them here with organic juice and some water. Or even, talking about different types of exercise, weightlifting, going for a run or a walk might be best for your child. Next, you want them to do this independently, seek out the input that they need, perform it, and complete those sensory input tasks without your guidance. And then down the road, they'll be able to speak about it, identify how they're feeling, what they need, and that would be for the emotional intelligence. So some types of sensory input that are really, really great for regulating a child. One, our first step is modulation. So helping the child to better understand the input that is coming in intensely. So that can be bright lights, loud or high-pitched sounds. Each child is different. It could be hair brushing, teeth brushing, wearing socks, wearing specific shoes. But for this, we like to provide heavy work. So heavy work means anything that is deep pressure related, exercise related. It could be pushing or pulling a laundry basket, carrying groceries, carrying a purse or a weighted backpack, using a weighted blanket, having squeezes or tight hugs. Number two, we want to achieve consistent regulation. So that's that alert, oriented, engaged state that we were talking about before, their optimum level of arousal. And that's by providing daily input. So you can work those other suggestions, those heavy work ideas into your daily routine. So maybe every day your child will bear walk to the bathroom or frog jump to the bathroom before they get in there upon waking up. Perhaps they carry their backpack when they go out to see friends or to birthday parties with some safe items and a little extra weight. Maybe they have chores or extra helper jobs in school. And then number three, we're going to talk about integration of information from the sensory system. So this will help your child to better understand their environment and understand everything all at once together. So that would be completing a task while someone is speaking to them and knowing what that person is saying while still being able to complete the task on their paper. So like completing work while listening to a teacher in school. But this usually requires skilled intervention with a occupational therapist. Next, I'd like to talk about an emotional intelligence. So you want the child to be able to identify how they're feeling, make a plan to address it, and then complete that plan. So again, the Alert program is amazing for this. There's also a lot of other self-regulation programs, like Zones of Regulation is another great one. And sometimes I just ask the child how their energy is today and what they can do to adjust that, and why they would want to adjust that. Kind of just cueing the child like, hey, your energy looks a little high today. Do you know why that is? Or do you agree with me? How can we fix that? What does your body need? And then having the child independently start doing that activity. Mindfulness is also a great thing to be teaching our kids too. We can always grow and build on our skills, thinking positively and making, positive things out of situations that may seem limiting. And then ultimately, you want the child to be doing these things on their own. So decrease need for co-regulation. Now they're being able to regulate independently and reach that optimal state. So lastly, preparation is a great method for helping our kids get ready to approach challenges in their daily life. So reviewing the daily routine with them is important. Maybe having a written out schedule or a schedule with pictures that they can check off or review with you every morning. Having them do plenty of heavy work, as we discussed earlier, but especially before and during challenging experiences. So a lot of my families will, give their child a little extra amount of deep hugs or tight hugs and deep pressure squeezes when they're out and about in a busy environment. But before going, maybe they'll do a little bit of exercise. Also cueing the child to ask for breaks and then teaching them to ask for breaks independently. Whether it be movement breaks or, quiet breaks in their safe space or, in their tent. Minimizing distractor input. So having low lighting when you can, or reducing distracting noise or unpleasant sounds when possible, and also finding ways to help your child better approach challenging activities, such as using a detangling spray and detangling brush when brushing hair, having pleasant tasting toothpaste and a vibrating toothbrush when brushing teeth, if that's something that's challenging for them. And these are something that you can speak to your therapist about, thinking of some new ideas to help your child. Again, having a safe place for them, and maybe that's with you, maybe that is a tent, a small space, a fort that they build. Also, building a fort is great heavy work by pulling in, couch cushions, heavy blankets, toys, and giving your child only 1 to 2 choices when completing tasks, and that can help them. It gives them some choice, but it also will reduce the need to make a larger decision if they're already feeling dysregulated. Also, I love uses of timers and, prepping your child if something challenging is coming up in the future. Okay, so that's everything I have for you today. If you have any questions, please leave them down in the comment box below. This is a common thing that we experience with our kiddos, and with a consistent program with a therapist trained on your child, and your collaboration from the parents and teachers as well, we can definitely reduce meltdowns, if not rid of them altogether. So I hope you and your family are having a great time, staying healthy and well, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.